All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're tackling a challenge that honestly is a great sign. Your e-commerce business is growing, and you need to scale it on Shopify. If you're starting to juggle multiple brands or different regions and currencies, this is the playbook you need for 2025.
So business is good. Sales are climbing, you're expanding, things are really taking off. That's awesome. But you're probably noticing that with all that growth comes a whole new level of complexity. How do you manage different languages, different currencies, tax laws, maybe even totally separate brands without it all turning into a complete logistical nightmare? Look, it's a good problem to have for sure, but it's a problem that needs a smart solution.
And that solution starts right here at what we're calling the multi-store crossroads. Seriously, the choices you make about your store's fundamental architecture right now, well, they're going to define how smoothly you can scale for years to come. So let's make sure you pick the right path. And it really all comes down to this one single question. Are you going to keep everything under the roof of one big unified storefront that just adapts to different customers? Or are you going to build out a whole portfolio of separate, distinct stores where each one has its own unique job? Okay, so let's dig into those two paths. Your main choices are either using Shopify Markets with a single store or going for a true multi-store setup, each with its own backend. And believe me, they are built for very different strategic goals. Let's break this down because it's pretty important. On the left, you've got the single store using Shopify Markets. Think of this as your go-to if you have one brand that you're selling all over the world. You get one dashboard, one place for all your orders, customers, everything. Super streamlined. Shopify even helps with some of the tricky international SEO stuff. But if you're managing totally different brands, or you have separate legal entities in each country, or you need different teams with different apps for each region, well, then you have no choice. You have to go with the multi-store approach on the right. Now, for those of you who are taking that multi-store path and are really, really serious about scaling, there's another layer to think about: Shopify Plus. Don't think of it as the third option. Think of it as a massive upgrade, a command and control center that sits on top of your entire portfolio of stores. And yeah, it is a serious investment. We're talking a starting price of around $2,300 a month, give or take. So you got to ask the question, right? For that kind of money, what are you actually getting? Well, you get the tools that make the price tag make sense. You get the organization admin, so you can manage all your staff and billing from one single spot. You get up to 10 expansion stores under one contract. And you unlock these incredible exclusive apps like Launchpad for scheduling huge sales events. Plus, you get native B2B features for your wholesale side. It's the whole shebang. Okay, but here is a massive reality check. You absolutely need to hear this. Even with Shopify Plus, your different stores do not automatically share product or inventory data. It's not a magic button. This just goes to show that Plus gives you the high-level management framework, but you still need a solid strategy and the right apps or a big ERP system to keep all your data in sync across your entire empire. And you know what? That leads us perfectly into our next section, building your tech stack. These are not nice-to-haves. For anyone running multiple stores, these are the absolute non-negotiable tools you need to keep things running smoothly and to keep yourself sane. The very first problem you have to solve, number one with a bullet, is catalog and inventory sync. This is the software that acts as the single source of truth for your entire operation. Without it, I guarantee you'll be overselling products, you'll have inconsistent info on different sites, and your fulfillment team will be having nightmares. So, what are the top apps for this? Well, there are a few heavy hitters. Multi-Store Sync Power is fantastic for real-time updates right down to the specific warehouse location. Synceo is really strong if you're running a network of different brands. And Matrixify. That's the enterprise-level workhorse for when you have massive catalogs and need to do huge bulk updates on a schedule. Okay, next up, automation. Once your data is all synced up and talking to each other, the next question is, how do you save time and stop making manual errors? You use tools to handle all the repetitive stuff and, crucially, to coordinate big, complex sales campaigns across all your stores at once. And the two big players here are Shopify Flow and Launchpad. Now, the amazing news is that Shopify Flow, which is perfect for automating things like tagging high-value customers or flagging potentially fraudulent orders, is now available on pretty much every Shopify plan. That's huge. Launchpad, though, that's still that exclusive powerhouse for Plus members that lets you schedule entire campaigns, price drops, new themes, everything to all go live at the exact same second. Now let's talk about a very real day-to-day headache,
just logging in and out of stuff. When you have multiple Shopify dashboards, multiple Facebook ad accounts, multiple Google Analytics properties, just switching between them all day becomes this massive waste of time. Not to mention, it can be a real security risk.
So there's a pretty slick workflow for this using a tool like Sendwin. The idea is simple. Each of your logins gets its own separate isolated cloud session in its own browser tab. What does that mean? It means you can keep every single one of your admin panels and ad accounts logged in at the same time. You just click between the tabs. No more logging in, logging out, two-factor auth 100 times a day. It's a game changer.
Okay, we have covered a ton of ground. Strategy, architecture, tools. Let's make this super practical. Here is a 12-point checklist that pulls everything we've talked about into a concrete action plan. This is how you get a painless launch.
So the first half of this list is all about building a rock-solid foundation. You start with that big decision, markets or multi-store. Then you lock down security with user permissions and two-factor authentication. You choose your sync tool, you get your data clean by normalizing things like SKUs, and then you set up your automations, Flow for the daily grind, and Launchpad if you've got Plus.
Then the second half here shifts focus to your customer and your operations. This is about nailing that international customer experience, translated content, local currency, no surprises with taxes at checkout, and then you button up your own backend. You monitor your key metrics across all stores, you double down on security, and you create a standardized process so that every new store you launch is even easier than the last.
So when you boil it all down, scaling from one store to many isn't just about copying and pasting what already works. It's about being deliberate. It's about choosing the right architecture from the start, building a smart tech stack around it, and following a clear strategic plan. We've laid out the map for you. The only question left is, are you ready to start building?